In the pursuit of better grades, you can compete yourself to death to then get a job that's even more competitive. In school, but especially in university, many people chase grades. And this is a very pointless pursuit because it's just impossible to get better grades without putting an extraordinary amount of work in. So I spent 10 times more effort in the first semester math than in the second, and my grade was just 10% better. There is absolutely no way to get better grades when you are competing against autistic geniuses who are also interested and passionate about this subject. I study medical engineering, which is a fancy subset of electrical engineering. So it's very technical and you have to understand many fancy concepts. Some people are just 10 times better at understanding those concepts than everyone else. And so by trying to be better than them is actually contrary to your nature, because you don't have the necessary inclinations to excel at it. And so by chasing better grades, you would actually build yourself a fake future that is both exhausting, unfulfilling, and unnatural to you. And that's a waste, especially considering that it gets more and more competitive as time goes on. And so, if you hope that you will get a better job by getting better grades, well, I'm going to tell you there's much, much better, more effective tactics to do so. For instance, you can get internships. Those will get you access to good jobs and to connections. You can collect connections explicitly by going to trade fairs, for example. And you can also learn unrelated skills. For instance, if you know electrical engineering, but also know, for instance, marketing, this is a combination of skills that can be very valuable, even if you are kind of mediocre at both. Because if you are competing for grades, you are competing with everyone else. But if you find your niche, if you find that what you are great at, your competition shrinks. Now, to be fair, there may not be a niche for your combination of traits, and most likely there isn't. But this is a more effective tactic because if you compete yourself to death, you will suffer excessively. So it's always worth the risk to niche down than it is to compete where everyone else is competing. In other words, your life will be a lot more peaceful if you build a monopoly. And it doesn't have to be a monopoly where it's kind of oppressive. Monopoly can mean that you are just the only one good at that specific trait that you have. And if you don't chase a good job by chasing grades, you may chase status. But there is, once again, better ways to chase status than by getting better grades. For instance, you can make your hair. That's going to elevate your attractiveness by about 1 point. And this is going to exponentially increase the amount of status and the amount of women interested in you. And if you chasing achievements is kind of a step in between. It's like saying, if I clean the kitchen, I will be a better cook. Well, a clean kitchen is a necessary condition to be a good cook, but it doesn't make you a good cook. I've spent so much time spending achievements. I ran a marathon, solved 10,000 meter math tasks, which is a world record, in 11 hours. I got rejected 50 times. I wrote 500,000 words. I recorded 600 videos. I chased all these achievements. But what actually brought me forward with women is talking to them. I know that's genius insight, right? But the thing is, if you spend your life chasing and grinding, you are so focused that you often miss the very obvious things about life. And so this is a problem with grinding. You miss the obvious things. And now if you aren't chasing a good job, if you aren't chasing status, you may be motivated to get good grades by money. Well, but the thing is, working 10 times harder doesn't actually increase your earnings by 10 times. It only like doubles them. So instead of making 50k a year, you'll be making 75k or maybe 100k if you're lucky. At least that's how things are in Germany, because Germany is very homogeneous. The differences between the salaries aren't like in the US, where one makes 250k and the other one makes 30k. It's more like everyone makes 30, 50 or 70k, and the differences between those sets aren't large. It's kind of like a caste system where you either make 30, 50 or 70k. But anyway, if you chase money, there is better ways to get money than by better grades. You see, many people think that better grades equals more substance, but grades are actually positioning. And when you realize that, you'll see that everything in life is positioning, and therefore you can chase positioning directly instead of chasing better grades, which requires hundreds of hours of dedication. You chase connections, which takes very, very conservatively 10 hours a month, but you can do it with far less time. So there is always a better way to make progress in life than to mindlessly grind on better grades. It's just the reality. Now, you may think that because I talked about university, this doesn't apply to school and you should chase grades at school. And I'd say there's a bit of nuance there. If you need good grades to become a doctor, for instance, then you should chase good grades in school. But once again, why should you become a doctor? Do you want status? Do you want recognition? Do you want hot blondes? What is it that you actually want? But if you actually want to become a doctor, then do so and take pride in that. But otherwise, if you want to have an average job and study something average like electrical engineering, then there is not really a point in getting better grades. It makes then much more sense to pursue electrical engineering than to pursue pursue better grades. You know what I mean? So if you know what you're gonna study, focus on that rather than getting better grades. And if you need better grades in school, then all power to you and chase them. But generally speaking, if you skip a grade, for instance, I skipped 9th grade, you will never have to prove anything regarding school ever again. And it's a lot faster and less draining to skip a grade because it only takes a few hours writing that letter and having a few conversations with your teachers than it is to spend years grinding for better grades. And once again, if you skip a grade, you have no competition. If you get better grades, you are competing against everyone else who is. And it may not even be possible to do so because your grind and your better results might still be worse than someone else's that didn't put in any effort. So I'm not telling you to not grind, but I'm telling you to be aware of the alternatives. Maybe you just didn't know about the alternatives. And so I hope that this video helped you to discover a new perspective. And my name is Kirill, I'm 18 years old, and my goal is to inspire 10,000 good decisions. If this video helped you, subscribe, and see you in the next one.